Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Poetic Voice, provided by our locally owned, members-supported public radio station. I am your host, Andrew McNaughton Smith. Tonight on the program, I, as well as the rest of our crew, proudly present a reading and interview with one of Britain's foremost poetic voices of the past 30 years, a man recently anointed with his country's highest honor, the Order of the British Empire. In the era of his highest successes, Sir Broderick Davies often received the titles of pompous and pretentious by literary and poetic critics. In fact, in a controversial article published in 1982, journalist Harry Trunbull of the Saturday Times called Davies' body of work, quote, a blight on the vast and wealthy poetic history of England. Yet Davies' work still stands the test of time, undaunted by any form of critical or commercial hindrance. His newest anthological collection, entitled Antiseptic Times Selected Retrospective Writings 1945 through 1992, recently made England's bestseller list, a true testament to this timeless figure's staying power. We here at Poetic Voice recently had the pleasure of sitting down with Sir Davies after his recent reading at London's Earl's Court Concert Hall. But before we can begin, please sit back and enjoy this brief excerpt of the reading itself. A true master of performance, here is Sir Broderick Davies reading his previously unreleased 1981 poem, Lovely Windowsill.
Thank you. Thank you. I first wrote this poem back in 1981. In those days, I fancied myself on many occasions as a preeminent master of the written word. I fancied myself so much that I could look out the window and write about what I was seeing. Unfortunately, my madness at the time was, in a way, truly incomprehensible. My actions were so blasé that even my wife at the time was confused, let alone my publisher. I still admire it, however. It is called Lovely Windowsill. Thieves, liars, and vagabonds, all three, roam streets, searching like muscles in a shirt, committing petty thievery, the lot of them. Love and glory to thee. Oh, lovely, lovely windowsill, in my bedroom, open the blinds to my mind's eyes. Nameless eccentricities and existentialist lies. The bourgeoisie won't shy from the proletariat sighs. Oh, mother sun is twinkling upon my naked thighs, singing rock and roll will never die. Oh me, oh my, 24 blackbirds baked in a pie. Take my money or my life, but if you have to take one thing, take my wife. Oh, lovely, sweet, oh, lovely, gorgeous windowsill, please tell me what is true, for tears of joy and happiness rely on only you. Please make me £1 million by Friday afternoon, or else I will blame you for my wretched misfortune. Thank you. Thank you, you're too kind, you're too kind, you're welcome,
Sir Broderick Davies with Lovely Windowsill, a true unheralded work from one of Britain's preeminent voices of the 20th century. After his Earl's Court reading, I had the privilege to sit down with Sir Davies and discuss his long, illustrious career. He was more than willing to share his thoughts. Sir Davies, I am pleased to welcome you to Poetic Voice.
Yes, thank you, young sir. What is your name again?
It is Andrew MacNaughton Smith, sir.
Who, by in my old age, I would have never have guessed. You look more like a Tharan.
I am pleased to hear that, Sir Davies. You can call me that if you wish.
Boy, I don't mind what you're called. I've 17 different interviews lined up myself, but you'd like to meet me later tonight. Contact...
That won't be necessary, Sir Davies, if you don't mind. Your career has been a roller coaster ride over the past few decades. Your new anthology of collective writing seems to be a fine complement to your vast library of poetry and prose. What is the formula to your long-standing success?
Well, over the years, marriage has failed me. Children have walked out on me in fits of rage. But money has always been a steady factor. I was once like you, lad, barely making a living. When I decided that writing and poetics were my calling. Nearly 6 decades and millions of pounds later, I have proved worthy of acclaim, esteem, and success.
How do you feel about the moniker of Voice of a Generation? How do you feel that fits you?
It fits as snug as a pair of worn undergarments. Thank you very much. From the day I decided to write, I wanted to become Britain's ultimate social critic, someone who could take the daily routine and turn everyone from the lowliest of outcast art students to the most esteemed of 4-star generals into readers and aficionados. It was a laborious effort to make it this far, but I've been speaking for Britain since I was in diapers. I was born to do it, and I've been doing it ever since.
Art and literary critics have obviously been the most vocal of enemies throughout your career. How have you countered that criticism with your work?
I make poetry that people can relate to, possessing the thoughts that each and every Briton embodies. When they see a catchphrase or colloquialism in my work, for instance, they understand where I'm coming from. I say the sincerest form of flattery is imitation. I have imitated it. No one has ever possessed the goal to imitate me. I find it funny that these critics, they still complain. I mean, I have my money. That's all that matters.
What do you feel is special about modern poetry? How has it changed since your emergence on the scene?
Well, I'll tell you what. 2 types of poets define so-called 21st century poetry. First, we have the rappers. And the rappers have decreased my pay in album sales ever since their emergence. It was once prim and proper to speak your mind over music. Now it seems as if every man, woman, or child can pick up a microphone, gyrate hopelessly, and rattle off words of self-deprecation for everyone to hear. It's sickening. And the second type are the Gothics. The Gothics are not of the esteem of a Mary Shelley or a Bram Stoker, but of Stephanie Meyer and J.K. Rowling. They feel as if they are the only ones to ever have written about pain and suffering. They write about lost love and suicide without breaking into clever, symbolic, or metaphorical diction. And there's millions of them. Do they not understand what suffering is all about? If a child in the Sudan were to write about these exploits, they wouldn't use the words black and bloody and death and kill and cry. They'd use the words superfluously depreciated and systematically marginalized. It's quite the teenage phenomenon nowadays to write so depressingly. Bunch of wankers, the lot. Once they step out of secondary school, all the thoughts of death and blackness and coffee cups would fade into the abyss, like so many other teenage paraphernalia of the day. That's all I have to say about that.
One of England's greatest voices, Sir Broderick Davies. Our continued interview with the Poetic Master, as well as more from Sir Davies' recent reading at London's Earl's Court, will continue after this short message from your local member-supported public radio station. This is Andrew MacNaughton Smith, and this is Poetic Voice on Public Radio.